So earlier today, I was looking through the latest box, looking for some juicy content to make a video on. And that's when I stumbled across Condemned Witch. Now this card, I've seen zero deck lists, zero videos, not even a single person talking about this in any Discord. For some reason, nobody cares about this card or is even trying to test out this card, which I find really strange, as this card, it's a lot better than it looks. Basically, when this thing is normal summoned, it searches for any of your forbidden spells. In this game, that generally means your Chalice or your Lance. This makes this card quite versatile, as going second, if your opponent has a bunch of monsters you need to out, just search for a Chalice. If your opponent has a bunch of back row you need to deal with, just search for a Lance. It also means going first, if you need monster negation to use during your opponent's turn, just search Chalice. If you need something to defend your field from things like Book of Moon or Dark Holes, just search for your Lance. And it also comes with the added bonus of during your opponent's turn, you can swap it out for any fairy monster. Let me introduce to you Aurora Paragon. Now if you don't know what this card is, that's probably a good thing as it means you're not a douchebag, but basically what this thing says is no. It just prevents all special summoning. Now the main downside of this card, which is probably why you haven't seen it before, is whenever somebody normal summons, it destroys itself. So normally, it's quite hard to use this thing. But what if there was some sort of quick effect you could use to summon this thing after your opponent has normal summoned? That'd be really disgusting, right? That would hopefully never exist. So there are obviously a couple of downsides to playing this card. First of all, it requires your normal summon, meaning you cannot play it in a deck list where the normal summon is really important, so that rules out basically most decks in Duel Links. Then it's limited to 3, meaning you can't play it in any deck with limited to 3 cards. Sorry BLS. So where exactly can you play this card? Well, as it turns out just the other day, I uploaded a King of Games free-to-play Sushi deck list, and that deck really sucks going first, as you have no real disruption. So it'd be really nice to have some sort of normal summon floodgate that prevents your opponent playing the game, so the turn passes back to you. It also doesn't actually require its normal summon whatsoever, meaning I just tossed this card straight into this deck list, and went on a 14 game win streak. So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get into the deck list, if you guys are enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, so apparently about 35% of you watching this or even subscribed to the channel, meaning 65% of you haven't even subscribed yet. So if you guys are enjoying this kind of content or see more deck lists from me in the future or more videos from me in the future, please remember to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's jump into this deck list. Alright, so obviously I don't want to spend too much time actually talking about this deck list in general, considering I just went through the Condemned Witch combo during the intro, so you guys basically understand what that does by now. And I've already gone through all the sushi cards like 2 days ago in that video, so you know what all the sushi cards do. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about how all the cards function, but I do want to spend a bit of time talking about the ratios and why I chose to run certain cards in the amounts that I chose to run them in. So first of all, we're playing 3 copies of Condemned Witch. You want to see this thing as often as physically possible, especially considering your sushi has a bunch of innate draw power, so going first, you should see this card more often than you shouldn't see it, just because that's how the math works. So I want to play as many copies of this thing as possible, considering you can draw into it, fantastic to run 3 copies of it. Then we're playing 1 copy of Paragon. Now 1 copy of Paragon is fairly risky, considering this card can only summon from the deck, so if you open this thing, it does feel pretty shitty. But at the same time, you don't want to play more copies of this because you don't want to increase the chance of opening this thing, as it is just a fat brick in your hand, and it just makes your hands going second or even going first or worse if you open multiple copies or just open this card in general. So you don't want to play more copies of it. The risk just only playing 1 copy is definitely worth the reward of being able to play this combo in general, so it doesn't really matter too much. Alright, then you'll notice I've cut the copy of Ikura down to 2 copies. The reason for this is the only card in the deck list that generally requires or sometimes requires a normal summon to function, so this card is no longer really a starter for the deck list at all, so you don't want to play 3 copies of this card I'm playing 2 copies of it, so you still need to have one in the deck list so you can summon it off of your Shari red whenever you need to. And it's not exactly bad if you open it, it just basically requires you to have a copy of Uni in hand, otherwise it won't be as good as it could be. So that's why we're only playing 2 copies of it. Alright, the only actual other changes I've made is you'll notice I've swapped the skill out for No Mortal Can Resist. This skill is really good, especially against Tenyi and your Live Twin. Those 2 decks like to gain 2,000 life points at the start of the duel. This skill basically says if your opponent has 2,000 or more life points than you, you can change their graveyard into a bunch of zombies. So if you come across a Tenyi or you come across a Live Twin, they're stupid enough to activate their skill, they lose all their graveyard, effectively making both of those deck lists completely useless. It also means that if they don't use it, they don't use their skill, they're going to have only 4,000 life points, which makes this deck list way more threatening to do lethal damage, especially considering I'm now playing in the extra deck a copy of your Burner Visor. Now this card can be a whole bunch of things. It can be Burner Visor, it could be a copy of your Rhapsody or Berserk or however you pronounce this thing. There is a Shark card as well that I think allows you to attack twice or something. Basically, you just want a card in here that allows either of these 2 cards to hit your opponent in the face for lethal damage. This thing will give 1,200 attack to your already direct hitter with 2,100 attack, or 2,900 attack, so lethal damage. This thing can equip to this dude to make it attack directly. It has 2,200 attack, that's 2 hits, lethal damage. And there's that Shark that's also a rank 5 that can target this thing so it can attack directly. Again, 2,200 twice, that's lethal damage. So with this thing in the game, or an extra card in this slot, if your opponent does set up a field with just no back row at all, they set up like a Tenyi board with not gaining their life points because they're scared of your No Mortal Can Resist, you just hit them in the face, they're gonna die. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the decklist portion of the video. The rest of the video will be gameplay showcasing the decklist in action, and without further ado, let's jump into some gameplay. Alright, so I played a shit ton of this decklist today, so not all these replays are going to be from the 14 game win streak I had with the decklist, although I think most of them probably are. And normally when I do one of these COG replay videos, I give a bit of disclaimer beforehand to say that COG replays, they're not the greatest, as most people inside of King of Games just playing absolute hot garbage because there's no demotion. I know at least one game during the 14 game win streak was against Exodia, for example, so that does make the win streak seem a little bit worse. But honestly, most of the games I played, if not like 90% of them, were actually really decent today, and some of them were against some really decent players too. I think this guy had a gold icon. I'm pretty sure King Halo is like a Worlds competitor. I'm pretty sure at least a content creator or something. I think I reversed Renat Sparrow, or the Spanish YouTuber as well, which is also a fairly decent player. So yeah, I had a really decent run today with some actual decent replays. So let's get into it. Now, like I said, I've got a bunch today, so this is probably going to be a fairly long video. Alright, up against Pedro Galloway first, or Galway. Alright. So I might do some speeding up during some of these replays. It's obviously, it's going to be a very long video otherwise. Probably during my opponent's turn, I might skip him a little bit. Alright, so first of all, we're up against United Pendulum. Alright, so I'm going to use my Uni. Special summoning it. Going for my level 4, summoning out my Ikura before going into an Exceed. Might still have the Shari red on the field. Alright, revealing, adding to hand, making a level 5, searching for my Suship, making my Vimana, for summoning my Condemned Witch. Actually going to special summon another card first. Going to copy a Dreadnought. It's a little bit risky drawing cards during your first turn if you already have the Witch, because obviously you have a higher chance of drawing into the one of, but you probably have a higher chance of drawing into your back row, so it's probably worth. Alright, normal summoning the dude, searching for a Chalice, setting the Chalice, and passing. Honestly, I probably should have searched for a Lancer. I think it's probably better considering we already have effect negation. It's probably better to protect the floodgate. Alright, he normal summons. I immediately after the normal summon should have swapped this thing over. I forget this thing has an annoying skill that puts this thing in the scales. So if this guy had a decent hand, he could have just Pendulum summoned, I would have screwed myself. But thankfully he activates something before Pendulum summoning, which is fantastic. I'm not going to make the same mistake again. Swap it over, summon out my annoying card. And now, he doesn't realize it yet, but he actually can't play the game whatsoever. He puts a scale down. Yeah, he puts another scale down and realizes, oh, I can't summon anything. Alright, there were quite a few games today with that kind of outcome, so I tried not to save too many of those replays. I just wanted to show off that, yeah, that's basically what the average duel goes with this deck list going first if you open insanely. Because that field was pretty fucking insane. We've got a floodgate, we've got a negate, and we've got another negate. So 2 negates and a floodgate. Good luck. I could even have searched for a lance, like I said, to make sure the floodgate sticks versus things like Book of Moon or Dark Hole. But yeah. Alright, this is a funny one. So this one is one of the very rare duels where... So my guy searches his multi-faker, but I opened this card, and this is one of the rare duels where this card is actually really good going second. So most players, they're scared of your rank 5 Xyz monster because it can only negate during the battle phase. So they save their back row until the battle phase to use it, so that way it can't get negated. And because of this, I can do my full combo, then normal summon this thing at the end of it without having to worry about my opponent's back row, as they're going to save it. At least most smart players save it, otherwise, yeah, they get their stuff negated and it's a waste of time. So Dreadnought searching, Shari, blah 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 blah. Shari summon, these 2 cards become an Exceed. Searching again, trying to hit a Shari, hit another one. Make another Exceed, and then before we end the turn, we're going to go for a Lightning, and then we're going to normal summon our Paragon. And this card, my opponent's playing a deck clip that needs to summon the Altergeist from hand, and he might be playing the trap card that summons the Altergeist from graveyard. Neither of those things work. So battle phase goes off, activates breakthrough skill, activate last defending our floodgate, and he concedes instantly, because he literally can't summon anything. Alright, so I saved that one because that's one of the rare instances where going second with that card actually works out for you. There's a few other random matchups as well, like I think Mayakashi as well. If they decide to try to wait for battle phase, you summon that thing, they can't summon the dudes back from graveyard, they're like, oh, well, that sucks. So it's not the worst card depending on the matchups, even if you do hard open it. Alright. I also tried to save most of the replays using this card today, so if you're wondering why you're seeing this in all the replays, it's because you see it most of the time anyway, but I tried to aim to show it off. So that's the point of the video. Alright, so my opponents will go into an Exciton Knight. I didn't want to use this thing effect to swap it over to stop the Xyz summon, as my guy can still normal summon, he hasn't used it yet, and he's probably playing that skill that gives him the extra normal summon anyway, or the normal summon target. So I'm going to Chalice this thing, stopping it being annoying. Order of Chaos, going to be searching for the Salamander, or summoning out the Salamander. Tried to summon from the graveyard, I'm going to swap this out to stop the summon. Which thankfully stops his turn completely, thank God. Alright, Uni going to be special summoning itself, making a copy of a rank 5, also searching for a second ship. Ikura looking for a target, thankfully hit one, which means we have these 2 cards can now work with each other. Dreadnought gets a draw. He, for some reason, I think activates the back row now, which is really weird. I had Lance anyway, but if you use it during main phase, I'm just going to negate it, so I think he just concedes. Alright, I think that guy actually had an extra normal summon there, so if he had an extra normal monster in hand he could normal summon, we could have lost that one. Bit of a close one. Alright, up against Mr. Sticky Finger. Bit of an interesting name, that one. He's on Bonds. Alright, I forgot what this guy was playing. It's been a while since I recorded these. Alright, so once again, searching for a Lance this time. I've already got the effect negation, so I've decided to opt for protecting my stuff instead. I already have effect negation. Actually, I have 2 lots of effect negation, and this card can be protected from the potential back row. So opponent tried to summon out a Nastin from hand. He's actually playing Dark Lord, this absolute Giga Chad. Unfortunately, he gets hit by a not so Giga Chad card, prevents all the Dark Lord summons. I could have negated that thing, but I decided I didn't really care too much. Probably shouldn't have negated it, because it's, yeah, there's no reason not to. Now, we actually had lethal here. I could have used my Chalice and my own monster to negate it, then gone for my full Suship combo. I just completely mental blanked, but anyway, we'll ignore that. Opponent tries to do a whole bunch of stuff. This thing's still on the field, so he still can't play the game. Finally does a normal summon. But by this point, yeah, I've still got my 2 negates on the field, and he just realizes it's over. Alright, up next, we have Renowned Sparrow, who I think I played multiple times today, and I know he did beat me earlier on in the day, but unfortunately, during this replay, he didn't manage to beat me this time. Which was nice, because this is the one that was part of the win streak, so... I think this was early on in the win streak, I think. I mean, like, the first or second game of it. Alright, Renowned Sparrow. Let's see what he was playing. So he was on Cosmo. Alright, so he's gonna look at the top 3, grab a card. Alright, our turn. Activate our Shari, he's gonna swap out his Tin Can beforehand, which is a little bit annoying because it sets up a monster negate. Going for our Dreadnought. Dreadnought going to try to draw a card. He's going to activate back to the front, which allows me to try to negate it, but obviously he can now Dark Clay to destroy my monster. This is fine, because now it's destroyed, I still draw a card. And we hit Condemned Witch, which feels pretty good. Alright, Cosmo Town searching for another Dark Destroyer, so we can swap it over, a bit of a combo going on here. But thankfully, Condemned Witch searches for a Chalice, forcing this thing out early. And with this thing gone, his life points are already pretty low, so we just need to be able to smack him in the face, or just... Even Utopia here is lethal, just a simple Utopia. So I think I just do a whole bunch of overkill here. Make Utopia. Oh yeah, I'll make this thing attack directly just for the fun of it. These two, I'll make Utopia, and these two cards become a copy of your Burn of Visor. I could have just swung into this thing and lethaled him anyway, but I decided to just hit him directly because it's more fun. And he's gone. Alright. Moving on. You know, I'm actually really impressed with Utopia. It's a card that before this latest box, like, nobody was using because it's not really that great of a card in general. But it turns out that in Duel Links, being able to do 5,000 damage just whenever you need to is actually a lot better than I thought it was. And it's also obviously really good into the specific matchups and non-target stuff, and just stopping your opponent floating into things. It's actually a lot better than I thought it was for this game. Alright, up against a Lunalight. So Condemned Witch, once again, not the greatest hand, obviously. Like I said, this card is no longer a starter, really, so pretty average hand. Relying so heavily on the Floodgate. I should have swapped this thing out as soon as he activated this, but I kind of thought this thing was the attack buff effect. I thought he was going to buff Slug on field, so I could have stopped him summoning this. But it's fine, he can't Exceed Summon or Fusion Summon or anything with this thing on the field, so we're good to go. Doesn't even try to swing in for some reason, but anyway. Chalice negating my own monster, that way I can summon out my Sushi, summon out my second Sushi card. Because this thing's negated, it won't destroy itself. These two cards become Utopia, and yeah, I think he just concedes as soon as he sees the Utopia. Alright, up next. We have, what's that, Hatena or something? Nine game win streak, so we jumped ahead a little bit there, I think. Alright, Constellar Union. So playing what I consider to be probably the best deck in the game. Although this guy didn't open perfectly, obviously, because you don't want to start off with this card normally. It's still a one-card starter, but it's not as good as the other one-card starter. So there's a bunch of Constellary things, draws some cards, sets 2 back row. So he's got this and 2 back row. We start off with Chalice negating his monster. Painful Decision, searching for a Shari. This card searching for a Lance, so now one of these 2 back row is completely useless. Make our dude, make our other dude our Dreadnought. Alright. Summon this. By the way, this thing is level 4, by the way, so you can use it for Exceed summons, keep that in mind. And my opponent concedes because he's already saw me search for the Lance, so I'm assuming only one of those back row was usable. Alright, so that's not a good showing of just like going second with the card. It's almost as good as going first, as you're just searching for whatever out you need for whatever situation. Your opponent's an annoying monster, negate. Your opponent's an annoying back row, search for the out. Alright, up to 10. Up against Mr. Ange. On Cosmo as well. Alright, so starting off with a Painful Decision, I think we just activate Chalice immediately here. So we just want to force this thing out immediately, see what it is. And it was a big boy. So no disruption left other than his back row. So summon my 2 dudes, this becomes the Dreadnought. He uses this during the main phase. I don't know why you do this, because I can just negate it. It's pretty whatever. Pretty silly. Right, not that it mattered anyway, because I'm pretty sure I just popped the fuck off here, actually. So these two cards become the Utopia. The Utopia can then be upgraded to the bigger one, the Lightning. Hit him in the face. It doesn't respond. It's gone, and we hit him in the face. Back to the front. We don't care. We still hit him in the face, and he's gone. Yeah, if we did actually use that during the main phase, maybe he actually would have been alright. Bit of a weird one. Suship is actually quite easily counterable most of the well, this version of the list isn't as easy, but the previous version, the free-to-play one, is a lot easier to counter, because, yeah, their main phase negate is, you just wait to battle phase a lot of the time. Not so easy now that, we've got extra negation in here, or extra prevention for disruption. Alright, it's up against Gandora. This is a pretty fun duel, I'm pretty sure. I actually had like 10 seconds on the clock at the end of it, because this guy set up an insane field, and my poor brain couldn't quite get through it until the last like 10 seconds. Alright. I think it was a bit of revenge too, because I think this guy beat me earlier on in the day with a very similar situation because I couldn't work it out in my head how to do lethal damage. Because I have absolutely no brain. I realized afterwards I could have just killed him, so either way. Alright, so he summons out a Decode Talker. Skeleton, gonna be summoning the dude. Is then gonna be shuffling back to the deck list, which is really annoying because I'm pretty sure he now has target negation, and he's gonna send Harp to the graveyard in a second, which means he's able to summon back Dingirsu whenever he feels like it. So insane infield actually. So Shari Red gonna be summoning out a copy of my Dreadnought. Dreadnought searching, Uni going to be summoning. Lets me go into my potential rank 5. For some reason he didn't use this thing beforehand, so he let me get a search off this. That was definitely a big mistake. If he wanted to use this, he should have used it earlier. I think he was scared I was going to go into the rank 5 negate here, which I would have, so correct to use it at least now, but he should have used it on it earlier, I think. Alright, Evening Star, I'm now going to Lance it to negate. He decodes Hawkers to negate. I'm going to negate the negate. Alright. These two become a second copy of this, and the reason for that is I can force out the field spell, of course, but that doesn't matter too much. I'm actually just going to do lethal damage with these on field. Swing in, Lance going to reduce by 800. That's just enough damage for lethal damage with the other ship. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, remember to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob? Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis. Oh.